Thank you, thank you. Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm Lou, or Luke, either's fine. You can find me on the internet as ToadPond, and the name of my talk is Beyond Chat, Bringing Models to the Canvas. All right, just to introduce myself again, I work at tldraw. I'm going to get to that in a bit. And ink and switch, not unnamed switch. but I also am a co-host of this podcast called The Futures of Code. I also do stupid videos on the internet. Anyway, the name of my talk is, it's about bringing models to the canvas. And when I say models, I mean AI models, right? But what I really want to talk about is the canvas, right? That's really why I'm here, right? So what is the canvas, right? Do you know what the canvas is? Like, we have to answer this question, we have to go 43 years ago, right? 43 years ago. Let's talk about computers 43 years ago. Did anyone have one of these? Don't look so sad about it, right? No, look, so this was the most popular computer of the time. And how it works is you have a little chat box, right? And you type in a chat message, and then it sends something back to you, it replies to you, and then you sort of build up this long chat over time, and that's how you used computers back then, right? So let me recap. You send a chat message, you get a message back, you send another chat message, and you get another message back, right? And, this was the way we used computers, even though there was loads of research about better ways of doing it, right? So this was actually from ages before that, right? Do you know what this is? Yeah, see some nods? That's a mouse, right? Do you know what this is? That's a cursor. It's a pointer. It's being an arrow, right? And do you know what these are? This was from another research paper, like at a similar time. Do you know what those are? You don't know? These are overlapping windows, right? And we take these for granted now on every single desktop, laptop we use, right? But someone had to invent that. They had to say what a window is, right? And it only became popular many years later when the first Macintosh, it was the first one that made it affordable in a personal computer, right? Right? It took a long time. And you know what happened, right? It went crazy. It changed computers forever. They even named an operating system after Windows, right? You may have heard of it. And so this is what happened. Okay, recap. We started with text, with a chat box, and we ended up with a canvas. Let's talk about phones, right? Mobile phones. Did anyone use one of these? I see more hands. Me too, right? And they're basically like a command line. You just press up, 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 up until you get to the commands that you want, right? And then you type. Right, you text. Yeah, there's a reason we call it texting. It's because you text texts, right? And then, what happens if you're in a world where that's the paradigm, right? Where the way we use these kind of computers is text. You end up with something like this, right? Like text plus, right? And, this is exactly, I don't know, it's always Apple, right? But this is what Steve Jobs famously pointed out. He said, look, we don't need text. What we need is a canvas that we point with our cursor, our finger, right? And it changed mobile phones forever, right? From text to a canvas. Are you following so far? Can you see where this is going? Can you see where? Okay, let's talk about AI, right? Who here has heard of AI? What's that? The luckiest person in the room. Right, so AI stands for artificial intelligence. And this is probably the only talk about AI at this conference, right? And the way you use it is you have this little chat box that you type in a message, and you start this chat with the computer, right? And so everyone's doing it. This is the paradigm. Yeah, this is ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. You know, sometimes you can escape chat a little bit, like with Claude Artifacts, you can get like a canvas that you're both working in. But your way to use it is through the chat box. You have to go through chat, right? And like ChatGPT, you can upload a picture of a canvas, but that's not the same thing, and it's tiny as well, and you have to talk about it, right? So to recap, we send a message to the AI, a chat message, we get a chat message back. We send another message, and this time we do get another one back, right? And then we send another message, and like there's sometimes you have to check the answers, right? So go look up if that's correct, right? Don't take, okay, anyway. So yeah, we started with text, with AI, and
the canvas.
well, actually, we haven't done this bit yet. We haven't done this bit yet, have we? We're still in this text paradigm. Like, can we go beyond chat? Do you think? Do you think we can? Okay, so I'm really, really lucky because I work at this company called tldraw, which is like a canvas library. So we build this SDK for other people to build canvas apps with it. And I'm really lucky because I get to work on experiments with the rest of the team to try and solve problems like this, like how do we bring AI to a canvas? And I'm now going to show you a mad flurry of lots of different experiments that we've done throughout the years now. And I want to give you a little glimpse of what we've been doing. And just a disclaimer, there are some things here that I've made, some things that other people have made on the team, but it's all been a collaborative effort. So I just want to say that. Okay, so now, okay, here we go. This is tldraw. This is running my slide software, right? And tldraw, like I said, is this canvas software. So we've like done lots of things, like figure out how to get text to be really gloopy, right? I don't know if you can see how. Do you see how gloopy that is, right? And you know, we've figured out how to get arrows to connect really nicely. Like even if I go to this one here, this star, and like rotate it around, then you'll see that it like. Can you see that? Yeah. Wait. And I could even like curve this, right? And then as I move it around, it's gonna, do you see that? Right, okay, and look, if I bring this text forwards, there's this little white little border that means it's visible even when it's over other stuff. And okay, you see this, when we have dashed lines, we make sure that the dots of the dashes always go to where the corners are, so it always looks nice. So we have a lot of fun trying to make the canvas good. The other thing you need to know before I show you the experiments is this is all web-based. So everything you see on the canvas is just web stuff, which means it's HTML, right? So and look, so we can even like put a YouTube video in, and I can still move it around, and that's our theme tune, and like so, and it interacts with all these other things. So I can even like point an arrow with it, and then when I rotate this. Right, I'll just pause that. And I can really prove this to you. Look at this. So like if I go to the inspector, this is an H2, right? This is a paragraph. This is a link, right? This is all just web stuff. And this is important foreshadowing because on the 14th of March, 2023, OpenAI released this first like publicly available, or announced this first publicly available multimodal model, which is the hardest thing to say on stage. But it basically means that you're not just putting in text. You can send it images as well and still get text back at this stage. But look, they showed this example where you can draw a crappy version of a website on a napkin, and it gives you back this working website. And this led to our first experiment today, which is called Make Real. And it was started by someone in the community using tldraw, and we picked it up and ran with it. And I want to show you what it does. So what I've done here is I've drawn a little UI of an app, and I can select it all and hit this button in the top right that says Make Real. And now I'm praying to the demo gods. Okay, good, it's working. Can you see what it's doing here, right? It's sort of turned my design into this into this real website, right? And if I go and hover over these things, then it's behaving, right? Can you see that? Right, grow works, bounce works, rotate does not work. So we're going to reject OpenAI's version. Let's see if Anthropic got it right? Let's see. That grows, that bounces, that rotates. Interesting that it's made the grow really big, right? It's got some wires crossed there. But OK, so here's another example. I want to show it to you. If I click Make Real, then it's going to create something from it, right? OK, great. Can you see that? I can input something in here, and I submit it, and it sends it off somewhere. But can you see the mistake? Can you see the mistake? Right? Someone said it. The submit button is currently right here, right? But it's not supposed to be there. I drew it over here. So what I need it to do is to move it like this. And I'm going to select it all again and hit Make Real and pray. Do you think this will work? Do you think this will work? OK, look. OK, great. It's done it. It's done it. And it's done it in both cases, right? But I could just keep going, right? This is like a feedback loop now. I could say, actually, I want this to be green, and actually over here, I want to put like a big cancel button in red. And let's see what happens. And I think this was like the big breakthrough with this, is that when you send something off, it's not the end, right? You're not being replaced here. You're still part of it, right? OK, and it's done my changes. I don't think this is taking my job, but it's an interesting experiment, right? The other thing that we realized was that you don't just have to give it one screen, right? You could give it multiple different views, right, of your app. So here I've given it like, hey, it should look like this on mobile. It should look like this on desktop. And I want to see if it can figure out what I mean by that, right? So OK, it looks like it's doing this. OK, yeah, it's doing this mobile view. And if I stretch it out, OK, so we've got a responsive design here, which was very surprising. And I guess we thought, well, OK, what else can we give this thing? So here's a state chart. And I don't know if you've seen David's talk yesterday, but I did make sure that all my arrows are labeled as part of this presentation. So if I just give it this state chart, it's going to try and figure out what UI to generate for it. Whereas if I just give it the UI, it's going to try and figure out the behavior and do the opposite thing. And I could just say, like, hey, just make a stopwatch. I don't care. And what you end up with is like different levels of fidelity, right, depending on how much you care. So OK, let's try adding some seconds and start. OK, great. And it's counting down, just like I specified in the state chart. OK, and here's one that here's one that it made based on the UI I gave it. Let's see what happens. Right, and this one it's counting up because I didn't specify in enough detail what I wanted. And here, OK, now it's just a generic stopwatch because I said I didn't care. OK, interesting. So people in the community like really pushed this, and we were extremely surprised with people's creativity and figuring out what this thing can and can't do. So I'm just gonna try a bunch of examples here, and we'll see how good the win rate is essentially. OK, a JavaScript terminal. That's sort of going back to the start of the talk. And here's a video game. OK, now let's see. How did it do? So OK, here's my color picker. Right, that's interesting. It's got it the wrong way round. So if I had more time, maybe I would do like something like this, and I'd boom. All right, go on, let's do it. I have no idea if that will work. OK, next one. There's no way this worked, right? Wow. OK, let's see. Did it manage to make tldraw in tldraw? Let's see. So there's an issue here. There's a bug, which you might think is bad, but actually is good because I still have a job, right? So. OK, next we have the terminal. Great. OK, that worked. And the final one, the video game. OK. Right, so the gameplay, could do with some work, but that's still quite surprising, right? OK, so we kept on experimenting to see what else we could do, and we ended up with this this one called Draw Fast, which I can't show you today because it will kill the venue Wi-Fi. But basically, this is image generation, but not the normal kind, right? In this, you're not typing some words and then sending it off and letting the AI do it. I think that's really depressing. In this one, can you see what you're doing? You're like directly manipulating the image, the underlying image, to craft what you want and to explore this. And I think this has been an interesting way of like learning and figuring out like how these image models are working. Because look, underneath it's just this, right? But the crazy thing is it's fast enough nowadays that it can feel like you're moving the image yourself, right? You're clicking and dragging, you're stretching and squashing, right? Which was amazing. And of course, because tldraw is just a web canvas, you can put anything on there. You can put a video feed, right? And that we have a lot of fun in our office. However, there's a big problem. There's a big problem. So far, what we've been doing is we've been taking these canvas contents, right? Whatever's on the canvas, sending it off to the model, and then it gives us something back, this artifact, so a website or an image. And then that's the end. Game over, right? And if you want to make something else, then you have to start from scratch. And the thing that we really wanted to do was to get the model to make more tldraw, right? To make more canvas. Because then you're sort of closing the loop and well, who knows what could happen, right? So here's the big problem. Models are really bad at canvas. That's not what they're designed to do, right? So different canvas teams have been trying to figure out how to get around this weakness. So this is FigJam, right? In FigJam, what they do is they have this huge list of templates, and then they populate those templates with information. But unfortunately, that's sometimes not really what you want. So if you put in the life cycle of a bee, you get this sort of flow chart, which doesn't. Sometimes you get a Gantt chart, which is quite fun, but I guess so the dream would be to allow the model to manipulate the canvas just like you would, right? And from the start, we've been trying all these different approaches, but there are so many ways of doing this, and we didn't know which way to go. So here it's like the model is controlling like a fake cursor, right? And we're just giving it the cursor and seeing what happens, right? And it's doing a pretty good job, but it could only go so far, right? Okay, here's another one where we're letting it like slowly draw ink, and it's like something out of a horror film, right? Like here, and as you can see from the E and the M's, there were some difficulties, but it was pretty good. Like I particularly like the hat that's coming up on this person. Really want to show you the hat. And yeah, okay. So another approach would be to sort of like make an imaginary API and let it use that, and like using things like function calling and structured data. If you want to know more details, speak to me afterwards. But yeah, like these were all pretty limited, but they all showed promise, right? So what's the best thing to do? They could probably all work, but some might be harder than others. Another completely different approach we did was instead of getting it to follow instructions, but to just continue what you were doing. So this is autocomplete, but not like autocomplete in your Gmail inbox, right? This is autocomplete on a canvas. And it was quite surprising to see like what's possible when you get faster models, and we're going to get faster and faster models. So all of that work led us to this thing called Teach, and I want to show that to you now, right? And this is our current best effort at getting the models to play tldraw. So what I have here is I have a little prompt and a work area, and I've asked it to draw a snowman. And again, we pray to the demo gods and hope that and I hope that it stays online, right? So great, this is not image generation. This is not an image, right? These are shapes that I can interact with, right? Even when it's still drawing it, right? And I can then manipulate it afterwards. I could say like add a scarf, right? And it can see what's there. It knows where the positions of things are, and it's all right. And it's going to try its best to draw a scarf. But because we're in Brisbane, I'm going to say it's not quite. Your winter is a little bit different here. So yeah, it can also modify what's already there. They love it, don't worry. Okay, so, you know, it does these very goofy drawings, right? Like I was surprised to see how well it can draw if you sort of give it these tools. But of course, it draws some things better than others. Structured things like castles, it does pretty well. I really love its pigs. Things like faces, it's slightly more tricky, right? That's a beefy penguin. But of course, I guess like the real sort of potential use case in our sites would be something like helping us do like very boring menial tasks like drawing diagrams, right? And I'm really pleased. Look at this. It's actually labeling most of them. If you haven't seen David's talk, you should really see it, and then you'll get some more of these jokes. But yeah, the great thing is this is not the end, right? Like this is something I can now manipulate. I can change and improve. In fact, I'm gonna get rid of these ones, and you know, this is not the end, right? This is not replacing me. This is helping me. Hopefully, one of the things we do quite a lot is we do our team meetings. We do our retro board meetings, and so it was interesting to see what its version of a retro board was, and also what's bothering it, right? Reduce meeting overruns. What was this one? Better. Does this ring true for anyone? Better estimation of story. Okay, is this like a review? Is this anyway? So the other interesting thing was, you know what I showed you earlier? You know the make real thing. Like the penny dropped, and we realized that it can do the reverse, right? It can take a website and then turn it into a wireframe. But it's really conservative about the font size. So I might just say, like, increase the font size, please. I do find that capital letters and full stops do help to make it better for some reason. I think it's because it's, you know, it knows it's in a professional context. Okay, and it's increased all the font a little bit. Okay, I've been using this to like draw tables and all the things that are like quite annoying to do by hand in these sorts of tools. So okay, here we go. It's deciding what I'm going to sell at my cake sale. And I'm going to ask it to fill with sample data. And let's see what it thinks I'm going to sell. Okay, it's a pretty good day. And then now I'd like to convert this into a bar chart. Please, full stop, right? And let's see what happens. Okay. All right. Okay, it's moving some of them, and it's Okay, so the thing I really enjoy is how it tends to color code its bars, right? It's been quite surprising. Once we give it these tools, it really does make use of them. So the other thing we've been trying, which is not public, but I can show you it here, is if you put something in brace brackets, it's like a shortcut for searching the web. So if it's taking a little bit longer, it's because it's going to search what Brisbane's current weather is. Okay. And now we have a little personalized weather forecast. And if you want to know like what this thing can do, I guess you could ask me, but you could also ask it. So I put out this little template for it. I find that usually helps to give it some structure to work around, and then it's filling it with its answer. I like how it's on a stretched star there because I asked it to use the full width. Scale text size, big, right? And it's using a format. It's using a specific XML-like format that I'll explain a little bit in a second. I think what it's done is it's failed to write out the format because by writing out the format, it has created shapes, right? Annotate the shapes with the XML, right? Let's see. So I've asked it to just explain what its format is to me here, but it's got a little bit confused. So hopefully, yeah, like I think a running theme here is that when it does something wrong, it's not the end. Hopefully, I think I think it's important when we use AI tools that there's some, oh, it's failed again, right? Let's try that later. Speak to me after the talk. So this format that we're using, right? I'm calling it this AI-driven format. What does that mean, right? So when you ask one of these models to do something, what happens is that they tend to want to do something again and again and again, right? It's just the sort of like the natural sum and average of everything they know, right? And that's not necessarily what they're good at. And what we try and do is like find the overlap of what they want to do and what they're good at, right? So sometimes we can lean in to what it naturally does. Sometimes we need to steer it off a little bit. And we call this format easy, but not because it's easy for us, but because it's easy for the model. Lovely. I'm going to help it out here with these. There we go. Easy, right? And here's the ultimate test. Here's the ultimate test. Can it draw the life cycle of a bee? Let's find out. Okay, looking good. Looking good. We've got arrows. Right, and I'm going to ask it, illustrate each stage. And let's check this. Queen lays single egg, fed royal jelly and honey, transforms, right? Okay, and here are the beautiful drawings. 2 little wings there. So we have the egg, the larva, the pupa, and the bee. Okay, great. Here's the thing, and I'm going to speed up, race towards the end, right? So far, everything has just been what we call like one shot or zero shot, right? We send a response to one of these models, and we get something back, and that's it. But in reality, in most AI tools and apps, that's not how it works. It's a bit more like this. When people use ChatGPT, like it sends off a request, which then gets processed by one model, which then gets sent to another and another and another. And usually, this is completely invisible to the user. They're like out of the loop, right? They don't have control over it. They can't see what's going on. They just get shown a spinner. Right, and so I'm really pleased to very briefly show you our latest experiment, which is not even released or announced yet. So here we go. Right, this is a NodeWire. This is a NodeWire programming language, right? And I have these different components here. And if I click play, then it sends it through, right? And I can have more of these, and it combines them together. So if I have it like this, then it goes together. And I can actually like create loops with this, and hopefully it doesn't break. But let's see, and it will just, all right, stop workflow. And, okay, but the interesting thing is when you add one of these blocks. It's called an instruction block. So I'm going to put just a number here, and I'm going to say here, I'm going to say increase by 1, right? And now when I click play, what it's going to do, it's going to use the AI model as the computer, and that's why. Oh, okay, and it's done it, right? And what I could do is actually wrap this back around over here, and again, like make a loop. And now we have a number that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But I don't want to kill the Wi-Fi, so I'm just going to stop that and add a button instead, like this. And now whenever I click this button, it's going to like increase it by 1, right? You following so far? Yeah. Okay, here's the thing, because it's an AI being the computation here, I could say like, I can use like a number word. I could say like increase by 3, right? And hopefully that should work, right? Okay, it's done it. But the other thing is I can be a bit more like, I can use a bit of vocabulary, right? I could say increase by 12. I don't need to teach it what that means, right? It's gonna have a pretty good go at it. I could say something more abstract, but like this, right? And I don't know what it's gonna do. I don't know what it's gonna do. Okay, that is loads. But we could do any sorts of operations we want, like remove the zeros from the number, right? And it's gonna try and figure out what to do. Okay, it's done it. And now we say like convert to Roman numerals. Okay, this this is nothing, right? Let's keep going, right? So the more fun thing is combining things together. So look here, I've got like 2 numbers going in now, and I've just asked it to add everything together, okay? But I think like the interesting thing about the AI is that it's quite good at like merging together. This might not work. This might not work. I might need to give it some help, right? Yeah, it didn't work because it's being very sensible. It's saying the meaning of life, that's not a number. What are you talking about? I'm just going to ignore it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another instruction, and I'm going to say infer a number from this input, okay? And I'll connect this here. And what we're doing here is we're making this multi-step prompt chain, right? And this is how all AI apps are now working under the hood, right? But currently, there's no way for a user to interact with this. Please work. OK, and it's worked, right? And so this is oh, thank you. All right, this is I think this is interesting because so far, like the only programmers can do this multi-step prompting, right? ChatGPT, okay, ChatGPT, it does it for you. It's inferred 8 from Octopus, but I think what's more interesting if you like take something like this, right, and then try and infer 8. Okay, so now if this doesn't work, it's not the AI's fault, it's my drawing ability. Okay, so give it, okay, it's said that's 8. I think an even more interesting thing is if we see this, you see this camera, right? Okay. There's no way this works, right? Okay, let's try it out. Please, there's lots of people watching. All right. Yes. Okay. And then it adds something. Okay, great. So this is quite interesting to see what happens when you combine things together that are not supposed to be connected together, right? So anyway, this is my recipe maker. What you do is you put different ingredients into the box, and then it tries its best to make a recipe from it, right? But like I think it's interesting when you try to sort of give it things that don't quite make sense, right? Chocolate and burger, right? Like I'm not entirely sure what is. Okay, a chocolate burger. Here we go. And I have here like a little shopping mart of things that I might want to put in, right? So like I'm trying to be a bit more vegan, and I'm gonna chuck in an apple and chocolate here, and let's see. Vegan chocolate apple dessert. Okay, that's pretty good. I think why don't we try something like some completely abstract, like stars, and no more chocolate. I think I've had enough. Toxic waste, right? Okay, and oh yeah. By the way, so whenever you make a procedure like this, what the model does is it breaks down some steps it needs to follow, or it thinks it needs to follow. Oh, right, cautionary star recipe. This recipe is a metaphor. Inspired by the input images, treat all ingredients with care. It does give you warning if it's not something to be eaten. Yeah, so like I said, it breaks down the steps it thinks it needs to follow. It tries its best to follow your instruction. I'm going to show you 2 more, right? This is what I call this my slop machine, my AI slop machine, and this is great for inventing inventions. So what I've done here already is I've invented this invention called sunglasses for cats, and I'm now willing to take suggestions on new inventions. And so what I'd like you to do is think of an object, any object, and to shout it out right now. Whoa, that's actually better than I thought. So I heard roller coaster and... Right, what we're going to do is a roller coaster for jousters. These are some of the best suggestions I've ever got. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the whole thing into slow motion so you can see it moving around this extremely complicated thing I've made. So what it's going to do is brainstorm 5 names for this invention. And it's going to replace, okay, joust coaster, Lancelot's loop, okay. It's also now writing a pitch. It's decided on the best name out of those workshopped ones, Knights of the Roll, interesting. And Knights of the Roll, the jousting roller coaster, we have a whole pitch here in case there are any VCs in the room. is going to now try and sort of create a few taglines to workshop and pick the best one. Roll into history, conquer the thrill. Here's a little concept image. That's awful. Right, and great, it's even made me my landing page. Okay, here it is. Right, it's tried to use some publicly available Creative Commons image, but it's got the URL wrong. But we do have some. Okay, we have a little mock-up for this landing page, including 2023 copyright, get tickets, features, testimonials. This was the most amazing roller coaster experience ever. My kids love the jousting theme and interactive elements. Okay, so. Anyway, I just want to show you a glimpse of the kind of, like, you can really go deep with this, right? You can go crazy, right? I have been pushing this as much as I can. So here's another one. This is my final one. I call it Fight Simulator. So what I tried earlier was I wanted to know who would win in a fight, 1 trillion lions or the sun, right? And what we have here is a picture of the battle itself and a podcast.
The Great Sun Lion War, a spoken word piece. Here now, the tale of a war untold. 1 trillion lions, brave and bold, against the sun.
Okay, so you can listen in your own time, but the winner was the sun. Spoiler alert. So, what I would like is a suggestion. I would like a suggestion of something that could potentially beat the sun in a fight. So I want you to shout out something now. What was that at the back? A black hole. Okay. But I think I'm gonna make this a little bit more interesting. I think a black hole, and then instead of the sun, I think I'm gonna do me. Right. So let's see. Okay, this needs to go there, and this is me. So let's see. Who do you think's gonna win? Oh, yeah, I should stand here, right? And who do you think's gonna win? Do you think it might be me, or do you think it might be the center of our galaxy? So, and here we are. This is a very scientifically inaccurate image. But let's see what? Innocent? You're joking! You're joking! No, wait. The human, in a surprising turn of events, the human emerges as the victor, not through outright destruction, but through a demonstration. Okay. Demonstration of power and a newfound understanding of cosmic forces. The black hole, for all its terrifying power, retreats, weakened and in awe. Right.
The black hole and the human. A swirling vortex of unimaginable gravity, the black hole loomed. Its event horizon, a point of no return, pulsed with malevolent energy. Against it stood a lone human, small and fragile, yet radiating defiance. This human, strangely empowered, felt cosmic energy coursing through her veins.
Right, okay, so let's finish, right? What does it look like when we try to escape chat for AI, right? I think we don't know yet, right? We don't know. I hope I've given you a glimpse of how much we don't know, right? There are so many possibilities when we use a canvas, right? I hope that I've shown that the examples I've shown today are so different, but interesting and exciting, and maybe it gives you a slightly new perspective. One thing I do know is that this always happens. We start with text, and then we go to canvas, right? This has happened time and time again, and I think it will continue to happen, not just for AI, but for all sorts of fields and technologies, right? And look, and I know my time's nearly up, all right? This is how we communicate as humans, right? We use canvases all the time, right? We've always done it, whether it's drawing a map or a sketch or annotating with arrows and comments. This is how we convey information, right? This is my favorite sign, right? And I know that says a lot about me as a person. But this is in the Cairngorms in Scotland. This is instructions for getting off a ski lift. Imagine if that was paragraphs, right? You would go all the way down again, right? When we want to convey information to our team and others, we use canvases. So I think it's worth exploring. You know, like from Leonardo da Vinci, or even back to like cave paintings, right? Canvases is what we use, and I think it's depressing if we stay with text and chat, and that's what we're stuck in at the moment, right? Nothing to say about that one. Okay, this is from Andrea's talk. This is from Andrea's talk. Like, she's already explained to you the importance and the value of using diagrams on your team to communicate. This is in David's talk, right? Everything is a graph. Everything is a graph. Everything can be expressed on a canvas, right? It's just really hard. It's just really hard to build them. It sometimes takes many years for someone to come along and say, yeah, this is going to be our product. This is going to be what we're going to do. We're going to make it affordable. If you want help building Canvas, then please talk to me or someone from my team. We love canvases. If you want to get started like literally today, then I think go to this website. And I really want to see what you build with Canvas. Thank you.